Yeah, that's really what created the big change at Holy Cross. We were just a small electric co-op most of those years. When I went to work in 1950, we had 8 employees and 800 customers scattered along the Roaring Fork Valley, the Eagle Valley, and Down Valley on the south side of the river. And that was it. You can imagine how far apart the customers were. And by that time, we were serving, of course, the town of Basalt, the town of Eagle, the town of Gypsum. We had bought that system. In 1958, we had bought the system in Aspen, and we were running it. So things were changing, and we got a call one day from Peter Seibert, and we had heard about Pete, how this all came about. We had built a line up the Gore Valley. You know, it wasn't the Vail Valley back then, it was the Gore Valley, the Gore Range. But we had been pestered for years by 2 Greek sheepmen who had sheep. They lived in Utah, and they would bring those thousands of sheep into the Gore Valley for pasture in the summertime. They wanted electricity to their cabins. But we told them, you know, we can't afford to build it to you up there. You're just there for a few months in the summer. But anyway, finally we agreed to build the line up for a minimum payment of $5 a month year-round. So we built the line, hooked them up, and they were happy. And then it wasn't about a year later that I noticed that we were getting requests for extension of electric service and connects from a group out of Denver. And that kind of puzzled me. I wonder what they were doing up there with the sheepmen. So delved into that, found out that it was a private hunting and fishing club named Transmontane Rod and Gun Club out of Denver. It was made up of some really wealthy Denver people. And I guess everybody thought, well, they've got money, they want to come up here and have a private place to fish. Well, as it turned out, it was a cover-up. It was really Peter Seibert. He had become a friend with an Eagle County native named Earl Eaton, who had spent a lot of time climbing all the mountains around there. And he told Pete, I have found the ideal place to build a ski area. And through Transmontane, he had gotten the backing of quite a few people in Denver that would form this rod and gun club. Well, then, in the spring of 1962, he called us here in Glenwood, because we were headquartered here by then, and he wanted to set up a meeting. So I was in George Thurston's office when Pete came in and sat down, and he said, guys, I've got a real bad problem. He says, I've got the gondola ordered from Switzerland. We're working on the mountain. He says, I knew I was going to have power eventually. I went over to Denver, talked to public service, thought they would build me a line. They laughed at me and said, Mr. Seibert, you're never going to succeed. People are not going to come over the Continental Divide from Denver to ski in the Gore Valley. I said, we can't build you a line unless you want to put up all the money right up front. So Pete says, I don't have any more money. I've spent almost all that I had raised. I don't know what I'm going to do. He says, I just thought of Holy Cross because I found out a little bit about where you were serving and saw a power line up there. He says, can you do something? We looked at each other and said, well, this looks like a pretty big operation. You know, we discussed it for probably an hour or so, and then we said, George told him, well, we'll take it up with the board of directors, and we'll see what they say, and we'll get back to you soon. So George and I talked about it for quite a while. We said, well, you know, the power line is there, the poles are there, the right-of-way is there. We're surveying up there, so we've got a right to do this. We just figured the public service probably would have jumped in there. So we went to the board. Board made up mostly of all ranchers. They had no idea what a ski area was going to do. But we said, you know, we think this may be the coming thing because, you know, we had served ski lifts on Aspen Mountain for a few years, so we knew a little bit about what we were doing. So talked about it with the board for quite a while, and they finally said, well, if you two think this is a good idea, you go ahead and negotiate with Mr. Seibert. But you better be sure this is going to work, or it's not going to be good for you. So in a matter of weeks, we had a contract signed from Seibert. By then it was called the Vail Corporation. They had decided that the Gore Valley was not a good name for it, so they named it Vail. We signed a contract that they would buy all their power from Holy Cross, but we never asked them for a penny up front, and that was unusual. So we set to work. We hired a couple of general contractors, one to convert the line from single phase to three phase. The other one was to install an underground power system at the bottom of the mountain for a new village that they were going to build, and they didn't want overhead lines. They wanted it all underground. This was our first experience doing underground. You know, before that, most everything was just poles overhead. So it was a hectic summer. But fortunately, it was a dry summer, warm. We got everything done. We were ready. They were supposed to open December 15th, 1962. And of course, this had been publicized a lot. The gondola was running. December 15th came, but the snow didn't come. There was only a couple of runs open, and we wondered, now what are they going to do? Skiing was free in the beginning, but then in January, then the snow came, and lift tickets were $5 a day. And this was the beginning of one of the biggest ski areas in the country. From that humble beginning, we held our breath for a few years, but the growth just started. And you know, as you look at the Eagle Valley from the bottom of Ale Pass all the way down to the head of the canyon, you know, it's wall-to-wall businesses, people, whatever, who moved in. They would not have been here if it wasn't for the skiing and the other recreation. You know, now we've got everything. It's fishing, hunting, biking. But anyway, that was really what I consider to be the beginning of Holy Cross. You know, from 8 employees, 800 customers. Of course, by 62, we had more employees than that, but we still overhead the office in Glenwood. Oh, you bet I had to talk about that. I can remember spending nights out in the valley because we'd have an outage. We had some bad flood runoffs way back in the early days. Power lines would go down. There were only about 5 or 6 of us, you know, that were outside people, so they'd ask me, Ed, you come along. You could help us. I even dug pole holes a few times. I did some surveying with Mr. Thurston. He and I surveyed a lot of the lines. Can you imagine 8 people trying to serve? But then, you know, gradually we got a bid from Motorola, and we built a tower up on Sunlight Peak, and then that was, there were all gradual changes. Radio communications, more equipment, more people, hiring contractors. It all came together. But the whole key to Holy Cross, and you can say Holy Cross Energy now, but I still say Holy Cross Electric. Because back in those days, it was electricity. And whenever I drove up and down the road, and I saw the poles, the thing that I thought about was, this is comfort. We brought comfort to all these people who had lived in both valleys for all these years, doing everything by hand, horse-drawn machinery usually. And they were so appreciative when they got electricity. And I think that culture, that philosophy is what kind of really made me stay at Holy Cross. Because having to do everything together, as I say, everybody tried to do a little bit of everything. We were family. We were called the Holy Cross family. We took care of each other. We were there for each other. We helped each other. We did a lot of things outside of work together. We used to have picnics, and everybody knew everybody then, and then the people we hired, were all local. A lot of the linemen came to us right out of high school, and they had to be trained. But as I say, we grew into a family, and I have to say that's probably what kept me at Holy Cross, because otherwise I probably would have gone somewhere else. Would have ended up a teacher someplace. Exactly. Who knows? Like to say, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Right, and they all knew they were part owners. And that's what made them feel good, I think, because they had suffered through years of the private utility, which was all around us. Public service company was serving the Lower Valley. They were serving other areas. Glenwood had their own system, but there was nobody to serve the rural areas. And when Holy Cross came along, it was just kind of salvation.
Good evening and welcome. I didn't expect to be here. I'd hoped to be here, but I'm glad to be here. I'm Dave Munk. I'm the chair of the board for Holy Cross. I am a director based out of the Southern District. I live above El Jebel. I've been a 30-plus year member and just got out of a river trip and went through a few different iterations of my exit plan. But I made it here on time. I wasn't sure that I was going to be here on time. So you'll see some hired talent in the videos that takes place of some of the lines I have. So to kick off tonight's meeting, which I believe is the 82nd of our organization, our cooperative, I'm pleased to introduce our President and CEO, Brian Hannigan. You'll see me in different forms and media, and then I'll rejoin you for the Q&A. So welcome, enjoy the food, enjoy the meeting, get your questions ready, and we'll chat with you during Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So, you're gonna be in a real-time episode of Is He Live or Is He Memorex with Dave, so stay tuned for that. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2021 Holy Cross Energy Annual Meeting. As Dave mentioned, I'm Brian Hannigan. I'm President and CEO of Holy Cross Energy. And on behalf of all of our board directors and our wonderful staff, all of whom are clad in bright yellow tonight, we are delighted to welcome you here to this beautiful Spring Creeks Ranch here in Carbondale, or online if you're attending this meeting virtually. That's a first for us, to be both in person and online. Tonight's annual meeting takes place in the shadow of COVID-19, the global pandemic that has affected every aspect of life here in Western Colorado and our beautiful valleys that we call home. And while the pandemic is coming to an end, thanks to our commitments to containment, like mask wearing, social distancing, and getting vaccinated, I do want to start by encouraging you all to be mindful of each other tonight. Be mindful of our desire to remain safe and healthy. Please socialize, and it's been great to see you all doing that outside on the beautiful grounds over the wonderful dinner and in here in the room. But please be careful to do so at a safe and a respectful distance, and use our various hygiene stations placed around the facility for your well-being. If someone happens to be wearing a mask near you, let's all do the neighborly thing and respond in kind, out of concern for both their welfare as well as yours. We thank you in advance for your assistance and your understanding on this important matter. Indeed, for much of 2020, we were advised to shelter in place or work from home, and we were introduced to our new friends Zoom, WebEx, and Teams. As befits the crazy year that 2020 was, tonight's annual meeting is being conducted for the first time both live and in person, as well as being broadcast over the internet and recorded for later viewing on our website by those that could not join with us here this afternoon. Now, we have a number of special guests with us tonight whom I'd like to introduce, and I'd like to ask each of you, as I introduce you, to stand and wave and be recognized. First, I want to start with Pitkin County Commissioner Steve Child. Steve, where are you? There we are. Yes, go ahead and applaud. Come on, y'all. Former state senator and current president of Habitat for Humanity Roaring Fork Valley, Gail Shorts. Gail, where are you? There she is. I have not seen her yet, but on the invite list was former Public Utility Commissioner Frances Casilia. I don't know if Frances is here tonight. She may be attending online, but she's a wonderful Holy Cross member as well. And then he was here earlier in last year's, in 2019's blue annual meeting shirt. Former Holy Cross Director Clem Koch was also here with us earlier this evening. Thanks for that. We also have a couple of special partners that I would love to introduce. I mean, they provide us with a lot of our power supply. Online, I think Carrie Simpson from Xcel Energy, our partners there, she's participating. And then kind of a unique individual that, hint, hint, you'll see later on in the videos, former Holy Cross VP, now Guzman Energy representative, Steve Boyding there in the back with his hand up. So welcome, Steve. Lastly, I always love having the media present. My friend Alan Best from the Mountain Town News is online tonight. Hi, Alan. Look forward to your questions in the Q&A period. I know he's getting them ready. So I want to take this opportunity at the outset of the meeting to thank the Giannetti family and the wonderful staff here at the Spring Creeks Ranch, Field and Fork for the beautiful dinner, which I didn't have enough time to eat, but hopefully you did, and all the folks that are supporting this great event tonight. So let's give them a thanks. And I also want to show my thanks and respect, and let's join in doing that to the many employees of Holy Cross Energy who are here with us at this annual meeting again in the bright, unmissable yellow shirts. And all of the Holy Cross employees, all 165 of them that work tirelessly to keep the lights on and to meet your needs as members and owners of this great organization. So let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so with those preliminaries out of the way, I would like to now introduce, or reintroduce as the case may be, our board chair, Dave Monk, to call this meeting to order. Dave?
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this year's Holy Cross Energy Annual Meeting. It's great that everyone is together in person, in addition to those of you who are meeting virtually as we have for the past year. And I'd now like to call the 2021 Holy Cross Energy Annual Meeting of Members to order. I would like to next introduce the current Holy Cross Energy Board of Directors. Bob Gardner is our Vice Chair. He lives in Basalt. Kristen Bertulia is our Secretary, and she lives in Edwards. Adam Quinton, our Treasurer, is also from Edwards. Alex DeGolia is from Carbondale, And David Campbell is from Eastvale. As many of you know, ours is typically a 7-member board. Sadly, one seat on the board is open due to the tragic passing in February of longtime director Adam Palmer from Eagle. To honor Adam's memory and his contributions to Holy Cross Energy and the communities we serve, we have prepared a tribute to our friend and colleague, hosted by Kristen Bertulia.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see you all in person. Thank you for being here. I'm Kristen Bertulia. I am a current board director and your board secretary. And it is my honor tonight to introduce the video and tribute to our friend and director, Adam Palmer. Adam was an environmental giant, but he was incredibly humble. He was a visionary before his time, but somehow never discouraged. He was clever, funny, quick-witted, intelligent, and kind. But Adam's calm and quiet demeanor was no match for his determination and passionate commitment to his goals. But it was so effective in drawing in even the most strident of naysayers. His term, for those few of us in the sustainability world back in the day, was change agents, which he quickly shortened to changeants, which was a term that stuck around for more than 13 years. As one of the first to run for the Holy Cross Board with an eye toward the future of clean and renewable energy, there was no climate action that brought Adam more pride than the groundbreaking 2020 commitment to 100% renewable energy by 2030. His enthusiasm for the organization, the people, and the ability to make a difference was clear in the joy that he brought to each and every board meeting. Adam was not just a mission-driven professional. He was an Uber athlete, a super dad, a soccer coach. He could play any instrument I could name, except for the banjo for some reason because it was in fifths. He was a loving husband and a beloved son. He made life and work look easy. He enjoyed both equally and inspired everyone around him, including me. We miss him dearly every day, and we are committed to asking ourselves how to best serve our community the way that Adam Palmer did, with his whole self. Kaylee, Wayne, we love you. Please join me in remembering our friend, colleague, and fellow changeant, Adam Palmer.
Hi, and thanks for the chance to participate in this tribute for our friend and colleague, Adam Palmer. Through his drive and vision, Adam helped lay the foundation for what the clean energy future will look like. But now it's up to us to go on. Brokenhearted and missing our friend every day, but using the drive and the focus that he gave us to help see it all through.
Thank you, Kristen, for that lovely and moving tribute to Adam. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Randy Starr, our corporate legal counsel, for the purposes of establishing a quorum and other business matters before the membership. Randy?
Thank you for that video introduction. Those of you who have been to annual meetings before recognize me from 2 years ago, since we didn't see each other in person last year, which I'm really sorry about. But I'm here to announce that we do have a quorum not only to elect directors by having enough ballots submitted. We had 2,704 valid ballots submitted in the election, and today we had registered 147 in-person members, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Randy. Now, during 2020, Holy Cross Energy finalized a new strategic plan to guide the future direction of your electric cooperative over the next decade. This strategic plan was developed with extensive consultation and collaboration between our board of directors and employees, along with significant input from key stakeholders and communities. The plan reaffirms our vision to lead the responsible transition to a clean energy future and sets out 6 specific strategic goals to guide us on our journey. Tonight, instead of providing you with reports from myself and Brian in the usual format, we've decided to highlight our key accomplishments over the past year in the context of each of our 6 strategic goals. Even better, you'll get to hear from several of our talented Holy Cross Energy employees directly. After all, they're the ones who work tirelessly day after day to deliver on our mission to provide safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy to you, our members and communities. As you listen to these accomplishments of your electric cooperative, consider that all of this amazing progress took place in the midst of a global COVID-19 pandemic and all of the operational and economic strains that came with it. In addition, let's not forget that 2020 was the second year in the past 3 that a major wildfire, the Grizzly Creek Fire, disrupted our lives and our activities for most of the summer and early fall. It's a testament to the hard work and dedication of the Holy Cross staff that reliable, affordable, and safe electricity service was one of the few things that we did not have to worry about in 2020. Let me now turn it over to Brian to take us through our 2020 report to the membership, organized this year by our strategic plan goals and objectives. Brian?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. So let's get this party started. Our first strategic goal is to provide carbon-free electricity to our members. Today, nearly half of our power supply comes from carbon-free and renewable resources. But that's not nearly enough. It's more than double than just a few years ago. But given the risks posed by climate change to this wonderful area that we live in, and play in, and work in, we've got to do more. So that's why we've set an ambitious goal to provide 100% clean and renewable energy to our members by 2030. And if you ever should happen to forget that goal, just look at the side of your water bottle. 100 by 30. This video will describe some of the actions that our Power Supply and Programs team has taken in the past year to set us on this new journey to 100% clean energy.
Holy Cross Power Supply had a great year in 2020. Our team is in good shape. We're ready to continue our mission in the coming years as we work towards 100% renewable energy by 2030. The 100 megawatt Ariba wind farm development has been challenging. There are delivery issues that we're litigating with XL Energy, and we have some additional risks to the project, but we remain optimistic about the prospects for this resource to supply about 1/3 of Holy Cross annual renewable energy supply when it comes online in 2022 or 2023. The 30 megawatt Hunter Solar project development is underway, and we expect this resource to be put in service in 2022. The 5 megawatt Pitkin Solar project development is underway. Permit hurdles have been cleared, and we expect construction to begin in June with in-service date this fall. Also, our 2020 renewable resource solicitation has resulted in Holy Cross signing 4 additional renewable power supply agreements with in-service dates that range out to 2023. These projects increase our clean and renewable energy supply and hold the line on power supply costs for our members. We finished 2020 with 44% renewable energy content in our power supply. Next, you'll hear more from Sam Whelan and Lisa Reed about power supply and programs.
I'm Sam Whelan, manager of Power Supply. 2020 was a really exciting year for us. Not only did we sign multiple contracts like Brian mentioned, but we really got to see the benefits of the contracts we signed over the past few years. Throughout 2020, our Comanche 3 coal plant was offline for the majority of the year. This typically would have increased prices for us, but due to the hedges that we had in place, we were able to save our members $6.5 million throughout the course of the year. Not only that, but in 2021, in February of this year, Winter Storm Uri swept across the nation and caused a large increase in natural gas prices. This typically, again, would have resulted in increased costs to our members, but through the hedges that we had, we were able to save $6.5 million in February alone. One of the exciting things about our power supply department is that we have multiple programs to offer members as well. One of those programs that we saw expand was our Peak Time Payback program. When we see price spikes like in February, we're able to send notifications to our members and ask them to reduce their electric demand rather than asking our suppliers to increase electric production. So it's a great win-win program that we have, and we're thankful to all of our members who come alongside us and partner with us to help us keep costs low.
My name is Lisa Reed, and I'm the Energy Programs Manager here at Holy Cross Energy. I'm here to talk about solar panels. Holy Cross recognizes that our membership is diverse and that many solar program options are not accessible to everyone. In partnership with Energy Outreach Colorado, our income-qualified solar program opens up solar array ownership to people who would otherwise be unable to afford it. We have a solar array in gypsum that essentially these members own for 2 years. This local renewable energy is what our members want. In 2020, we began educating our members on the benefits of solar arrays paired with storage devices and have updated our solar incentives to further promote this combination to our members. Having a battery backup enables members to use clean solar power generated when the sun is shining and store that power to use later. On a large scale, Holy Cross Energy is doing the same with projects such as our partnership with CMC Spring Valley. That will have a 4.5 megawatt solar array and 15 megawatt hours of battery backup storage.
Just last month alone, we were up over 51% annual power supply. And so I want to thank again Steve Pointing, who you saw in the video, which you can also see in the back of the room. Even the same hat, Steve, well done. And our partnership with Guzman Energy and XL Energy will help be critical to taking us the rest of the way on our journey to 100. So our next strategic goal, our second in the series, is to operate a modern, reliable, and resilient electric distribution system. This is the core of what we do. The poles, the wires, the crews, the trucks, the core, the heart of who we are and who we have been for more than 80 years. Our talented line workers, our supporting operations and engineering staff work tirelessly and safely in all conditions to ensure that our system can deliver for you day and night. Our engineering team efficiently designs and operates our electric grid to incorporate a range of emerging challenges, from new technologies to new threats, from cybersecurity and wildfire. Both of these teams are ably supported by our information technology team that provides the communications and the visibility that we need to get the job done safely and well. These are their stories from 2020.
Hi, my name is Cody O'Neill, Vice President of the Glenwood District Operations Group here at Holy Cross Energy. As Brian said, operating a modern, reliable, and resilient electric distribution system is what I get to come to work to do every day, but my team does so much more than that. In 2020, operations kept a material inventory discrepancy to less than 0.05% on over $4 million worth of material. Our mechanics performed maintenance and repairs on over 200 engines in the HCE fleet. Our meter shop assisted with the installation of solar panels on our Glenwood warehouse building, and our line operations group worked to mitigate the potential for our electric system to start a fire. Our line operations group also performs maintenance on the system throughout the year. In operations, we're using new technology to combat threats associated with wildfires, and you'll hear more from Jeff Wissing, our Vegetation Management Supervisor, on that. You'll also hear from James Ray, manager of our Glenwood line operations, on how we're using drones to further enhance the reliability of our electric system.
Hello, my name is Jeff Wissing, Vegetation Management Supervisor here at Holy Cross Energy. As our mountain communities continue to grow, so too has the potential for damage to homes and businesses from wildfires. In addition to the yearly wildfire mitigation work we perform, Holy Cross is launching 2 projects over the next year concerning vegetation management along Holy Cross right-of-way corridors. In an effort to further mitigate the potential for fire, we are launching a pilot program to clear all potential fuel sources, including dry grasses, surrounding the bottom of designated utility poles in high-risk areas. We're also launching another program utilizing satellite imagery, green light radar, and artificial intelligence to provide vegetation encroachment data throughout our urban and national forests and as close to real time as possible. This will bolster our inspection program by rating our system's vegetation in minutes versus the months it would historically take to inspect each corridor. Through this, we will have the ability to identify and address areas of concern before they pose a wildfire threat. We look forward to exploring how this technology will help us gain efficiency in our current inspection programs, leading to a hardened system with improved reliability. We perform this work with the safety of our members in mind. If you see my guys out cutting trees this summer, please be patient with us as they are keeping us all safe from wildfires.
Hi, I'm James Ray. I'm the manager of Glenwood Springs line operations at Holy Cross Energy. Holy Cross has developed an inspection program for the overhead electrical system utilizing unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. We plan to inspect our system of over 20,000 poles over the course of the next 7-8 years. Each inspection year will produce over 15,000 images, which will need to be inspected by qualified linemen to determine the integrity of the electrical equipment on the pole. The goal of the program is to find and fix potential problems before they cause an outage. This will increase our system reliability, but also mitigate the possibility of the Holy Cross system starting a fire. Our work on this project is set to start mid-June of this year.
Hello, I'm Rick ARNHOLD, Vice President of Holy Cross Energy's Eagle Vale District. Our promise to you, our members, is to provide a safe and reliable power. Each of our operations employees go through extensive training and understand countless procedures to make sure we remain safe while constructing and maintaining a reliable electric system. Every year we talk to firefighters, police, and other government agencies to discuss the hazards of high voltage electricity and how to stay safe around it. We also work to educate our members on electric safety and why it's important not to encroach on our equipment. Please do not build fences or rock walls around our transformers or pile snow near them. And remember not to plant tall growing trees under our power lines. Lastly, we work closely with 811. Please make certain to call 811 before you start digging. Digging into buried power lines is both dangerous and expensive. Next up, WYATT BORA is going to share information on a pole set we did using a helicopter in the Glenwood Canyon, and Vince STOLTZFUS is going to cover a few of the safety procedures our operations crews are required to perform in order to stay certified.
My name is WYATT BORA. I work in operations at Holy Cross Energy. On August 10, 2020, the Grizzly Creek fire erupted in Glenwood Canyon and essentially cut off access between the western and eastern areas of our service territory for 3 weeks. Our electric system runs partially down through the canyon, and as soon as we got the all clear from authorities to enter the canyon, we assessed the damage to our system and learned we had lost several poles. Had the fire come down lower on the east side of the Hanging Lake Tunnel, things could have been much worse. Due to the extreme terrain of the Glenwood Canyon, the poles had to be replaced using helicopter, and our crews hiked in to help them. Ultimately, the Grizzly Creek fire burned over 32,000 acres and was not declared 100% contained until December 18th.
I'm Vince STOLTZFUS and I work in operations for Holy Cross. Every day we work with high voltage electricity, and it's important that our linemen prioritize safety. Our crews often find themselves in remote locations where emergency responders might be 30 or more minutes away, so it's critical that we know how to take care of each other. Each year we recertify in different rescue situations such as pull top, bucket truck, and vault rescue. Each one must be completed within 4 minutes. These rescue methods allow us to get the lineman to the ground to administer first aid and CPR as quickly as possible. We also work with our local emergency responders on how to perform rescues of individuals near high voltage power lines. And a friendly reminder to please not go within 10 feet of energized equipment.
Hello, I'm Bob Farmer, Vice President of Information Technology. My department supports our data networks and our business technology infrastructure. In 2020, our teams pivoted to shift many of our employees to working from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In a minute, you will hear from 4 IT employees on some of the bigger initiatives we worked on throughout 2020. On every initiative, we focus on keeping your data and our infrastructure safe from the bad guys. We even go so far as to fish our own employees with well-crafted emails in order to increase their awareness of what to look out for. At Holy Cross, keeping your data safe is everyone's responsibility. I'm so proud of my entire team for what we've been able to accomplish since last year. Please enjoy hearing from Manuel, Christian, Eric, and Ladd.
I am Manuel Gomez, and I am the IT Infrastructure Manager here at Holy Cross Energy. I am one member of a great team involved in our broadband project. With use of advanced technology metering and electric service equipment, our need for immediate communications between devices has increased exponentially. Holy Cross Energy is building nearly 100 miles of fiber during the next 5 years in places like Eagle and Basalt. We have planned for extra capacity, which will be made available to service providers and to local government agencies to help expand broadband access to our mountain valleys and to the members of Holy Cross Energy. The additional cost to build the extra capacity will be covered by our partners in the project. We believe by opening the door to fiber access for our communities, we are building a better future for all.
My name is Christian Rosas, and I'm the Service Desk Specialist here at Holy Cross Energy. When the COVID-19 pandemic started in March of 2020, the IT team sprang to action. We moved 160 plus employees to work from home status in less than a week. In a single night, we configured and deployed over 20 new laptops. Due to the rural nature of our service territory, we also helped our staff troubleshoot internet issues at home so they can best assist our members. COVID created new challenges for us to overcome, but also new opportunities to adopt new technologies around where and how we work.
I'm Eric Arnette, your Senior Network Administrator. At Holy Cross, we work to provide reliable and responsible energy delivery, and part of that is ensuring that our electric grid control servers and devices are protected from hackers. This past year, we've been implementing a number of network security enhancements. First, we're isolating our control system using industry best practices and ensuring that only authorized personnel can adjust settings on the electric system. We're also authenticating all users and devices when they connect to the network. Last, we have built a segmented guest network that allows Holy Cross to provide Wi-Fi to contractors and other guests, and protect our assets. Overall, our network project will provide more network flexibility to be able to securely deliver communications for our future needs.
I'm Ladd Epp, Cybersecurity Manager at Holy Cross. If you follow the news, then no doubt you have heard recent stories of identity theft, data breaches, and attacks on our nation's critical infrastructure. The Holy Cross Cybersecurity Office is committed to keeping your information safe and secure and keeping the electrical grid resilient. We have up-to-date security policies to ensure your member data does not fall into the wrong hands. Every employee is required to complete ongoing cybersecurity training, as each of us are on the front lines to protect HCE and our members. As new technology comes onto our electrical grid, we put security at the forefront. Our Security Operations Center continuously monitors networks and systems for attacks and breaches. I'm a member too. I understand how important it is that HCE protects your information and how critical it is for the lights to come on every time you hit the switch. That is why it is my honor to serve and protect you.
I'm David Blakely, Vice President of Engineering. Our engineering department knows that reliability is number one in our members' minds. Our goal is to create a system that's so reliable that the majority of our members will experience less than one outage in any given year. In 2020, we were successful in that effort, with most members not experiencing a true outage. During the initial COVID-19 lockdown, our system operators continued to monitor and control the electric system, making sure that your lights could stay on and your family could stay warm. Our construction engineers continue to support all system expansions, upgrades, and maintenance. To keep you safe, we also completely redesigned our protection systems to minimize our system's ability to start fires. We also continued to expand our smart device installations for increased system visibility and decreased system outages. Holy Cross engineers have supported our new utility-scale solar and storage projects by performing system impact studies and working with our wholesale supplier to ensure that our new facilities will have minimal impacts on their systems.
Our third strategic goal is to enable new and efficient uses of electricity. For many years, the efficient use of electricity has been a priority for Holy Cross Energy and its members. Investments in energy efficiency not only reduce energy bills to you, they also make sense to reduce emissions to our environment. And more recently, as our energy mix shifts to more clean and renewable resources, the increased use of electricity to replace gasoline and natural gas in transportation, in buildings, commercial and industrial applications, these can help reduce costs and emissions in those sectors of our economy, those portions of your energy bill as well. This short video highlights our team's work in the emerging area of beneficial electrification.
I'm Chris Bilby. I'm your local research and programs engineer. Over the past several years, our infrastructure for electric vehicles has accelerated rapidly. Our community charging program has aided in the build-out of EV chargers in our communities and business charging stations, including apartment complexes and multifamily housing. We now have 30 level 3 charging plugs across our service territory with the ability to charge an EV to 80% in as little as 20 minutes. Our community continues to want increasingly clean transportation options, and we are happy to bring that to a parking spot or bus stop near you. In 2018, we began working with the Roaring Fork Transit Authority, City of Aspen, and Eagle County Transit to electrify our mass transportation needs. We are also working with schools to bring in all-electric school buses, as well as an all-electric preschool mobile classroom such as the Vail Valley Foundation's Magic Bus. As the technology continues to advance around the operations of large vehicles in cold climates, we are learning a lot about what it takes to electrify our public transportation options in our region. It has been incredible to work with organizations like the Aspen Skiing Company and Vail Resorts as they work towards their own environmental and energy goals. There's a father-son team building out a prototype of an electric snowmobile right now. How fun is that? It's an exciting time to be a part of the transition to clean energy for all sorts of uses.
Our fourth strategic goal is to maintain low-cost service through sound financial and business practices. Yes, reliable. Yes, safe. Yes, increasingly sustainable, but it also has to be affordable. At Holy Cross Energy, we pride ourselves in keeping the lights on, but keeping the rates low. In fact, we've held our electric rates flat, no change, since 2018, and we've got no plans to change them through the end of 2022. And that's hard to do. Hard to do, y'all. In a world of rising costs for labor and materials, and what's more is that we continue to provide millions of dollars in community donations and patronage capital, those bill credits that you get once or twice a year in the form of bill credits to you, our members. That's your dividend for being an owner of this great cooperative. Our finances are indeed strong, as you will hear from our finance team in this next video.
Hi, I'm Drew Schiller, Vice President of Finance. We are committed to maintaining the strength of your cooperative by balancing competitive rates with safe, reliable, and sustainable service. Despite the pandemic shutting down ski resorts and impacting many of our community's tourist economies, HCE was able to maintain its target margin while not increasing rates. In 2020, our total cost of electricity was $125 million, down from $128 million in 2019. In 2020, $6.7 million in revenue was earmarked to defer future rate increases, while over $4 million in member equity was retired, bringing our total equity retirement since 1963 to $160 million. Equity to asset is a financial metric we keep track of. In other words, how much of our assets do you, our members, own, and how much is financed through debt? Just like your primary residence and mortgage, Our goal is to stay above 40%, and in 2020, we were at 42%. We are proud to continue our tradition of strong financial leadership for our members. Next, Michael and Seth from Finance are going to share with you how we are continuing that tradition.
Hi, my name is Michael WHIDDON, and I am the accounting manager at Holy Cross Energy. As we've cleaned up our power supply mix, we've gone from 11% renewable energy to 44%. All while rates have increased on average just over 2% in the last decade. Think of that for a moment. Think of all the goods and services that you've purchased in the last decade and how those prices have changed. The power in electric cooperatives is in our shared resources.
I'm Seth Perry. I'm the Business and Data Analyst here at Holy Cross Energy. As the finance department of the utility, we aren't the stars of the show. People come up here for the views and the skiing, not our spreadsheets. But we see our role as very important. Our work directly supports the people and the economy of our valleys. That demands a lot of due diligence from a financial perspective. We want to be a sound investment for you, our owners, and we also want to make sure our rates are low enough so our valleys can flourish. We do that by running and rerunning financial scenarios and projections with short-term and long-term lenses. Whether it's electric cars or the growth of renewable energy, the electric utility and our service territory will be changing over the next 10, 15 years, and we need to be ready for whatever comes our way. Not just to make sure we can heat our homes, but to make sure we're doing our part to keep our valleys affordable and that we're encouraging the growth of local business. That's a hard task, and it was made even harder in 2020. We saw one of the worst economic crises of our lives, and a lot of our members struggled to make ends meet. It was our responsibility to make sure we didn't need to raise rates, and we didn't. That doesn't happen by accident. It was a full staff effort to watch our bottom lines and look for ways to help. We're tremendously proud of the job we did in 2020, and we hope you are as well.
Our fifth strategic goal is to provide exceptional service and value to our members in the communities that they live in. For more than 80 years, you've always counted on us to be there in times of need, during outages, when connecting a new service, or when considering a new program. And our member service representatives have tirelessly answered the call. They've always delivered when called upon. In 2020, we've continued to expand our service and our value to you to meet the changing needs of our time, as you will see in this next video from our Member and Community Relations team.
Hi, I'm Jenna Weatherhead, VP of Member and Community Relations. Thank you so much for being with us today. I am so excited to share with you all of the great work our department has done over this crazy past year. Speaking of crazy, our Member Services Department went from answering your calls at our office on Friday, March 12th, to speaking with you from their homes on Monday morning, March 15th. It was quite a weekend. In addition, our community relations team pivoted to communicating with our members, our community partners, and our coworkers, all virtually. These folks have spent literally thousands of hours on Zoom over the past 15 months, which is why seeing you all here tonight is so wonderful. One of the highlights of last year was our member satisfaction survey. Each year, we survey our members to understand your satisfaction with our service. Last year, our goal was to score an 85 on the American Customer Satisfaction Index, or the ACSI. And we were thrilled that you, our members, rated us higher than our goal at an 88. Thank you. It's an honor to serve you all. Next up, Jill, KRISTINA, and Mike are going to share a few of their team's 2020 achievements with you.
I'm Jill KERRIGAN. I'm Holy Cross Energy's Member Service Supervisor. Our member service representatives are the first and sometimes only people most members talk to when they call. When Holy Cross Energy members have questions or need help, they call us. During the beginning of the pandemic, we began to see our members struggling to pay their bills. In turn, the Holy Cross Energy Board of Directors allocated $750,000 in payment assistance to help alleviate the financial burden caused by the pandemic. It was truly uplifting to be able to help our members in this way during an incredibly difficult time. We take pride in being there for our members when they need us most, whether it's helping them pay their bills or whether their lights are always on.
Hi, I'm KRISTINA Johnson, the Communications Supervisor here at Holy Cross Energy. As Jenna mentioned, the Community Relations team quickly recognized the importance of new technology to stay in touch with our members. It is our responsibility and our privilege to keep our members informed and engaged. In March of 2020, we updated our communication strategy to adapt to the ever-changing guidelines surrounding COVID-19. Last year, in under just 4 weeks, we developed an entirely virtual annual meeting of our members that has since been seen by over 500 of you. We also work to educate members on the Member Assistance Fund and to keep our members informed of the multiple wildfires in our region through digital, social, and broadcast media. At the end of the year, we announced our new 100 by 30 goal, a commitment to 100% renewable energy by 2030 with Colorado Governor Jared Polis over a live virtual press conference. We were thrilled to be recognized by the state for our work towards our clean energy goals. Thank you for your support in helping Holy Cross Energy lead the transition to a clean energy future.
My name is Mike Steiner. I work in HCE's Community Relations Department, working with our larger members on how they can best meet their own energy goals. Working with the communities we serve, we're improving the quality of life and the quality of the environment that people love here. Partners like the Clean Energy Collaborative, a group of stakeholders who are working to increase local renewable energy content and the reduction of carbon emissions for the Eagle River Valley. We're also working with organizations like CORE and CLEAR for similar sustainability goals in the Roaring Fork Valley. HCE is also working closely with our towns and counties who are developing their own plans to address climate change, and HCE is here to support them with innovative new technologies. We're also working on providing more resiliency options for our members, including a new battery storage program, Power Plus, that we're making available to all HCE residential members. I just want to say thank you so much to all our members and all of our partners for being part of us in this journey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Holy Cross Energy's 2021 annual meeting. Looks like it's a beautiful day out here. My name is Bob Gardner. I'm a director on the Holy Cross Energy Board of Directors. And part of my role as a Board of Director member is I'm the liaison to the Holy Cross Energy Roundup Foundation. Roundup Foundation is a 501c3 philanthropical organization that Holy Cross supports that provides donations, grants, and so on to individuals and organizations roughly within Holy Cross's service territory. In the year 2020, we had over 5,200 members actually participating in Roundup. So to each one of you, thank you. The way Roundup Foundation works is you agree to participate and you allow Holy Cross Energy to round up your electric bill every month, and the difference between your actual bill and the rounded up amount goes to the Roundup Foundation. So that's roughly 50 cents a month or $6 a year. Of that 5,200 members, over $34,000 was donated by Holy Cross members in 2020. To join that match, or that money, Holy Cross employees, roughly 25 of them, contribute over $6,000 during the year. Holy Cross matches those two contributions. So that's $40,000 from our members and employees, so Holy Cross matches that with an additional $40,000. We also receive $5,000 from one of our financial partners, CoBank. That $85,000 that we received in income is what we use to distribute to the people that apply for grants and so on. During 2020, Holy Cross took that $85,000 plus a little bit of money we had in our reserve account of the Roundup Foundation, and we contributed over $104,000 to members and organizations within our service territory. $1,600 went to an individual candidate, but the rest went to organizations. And since the pandemic was in full force at that time, the Roundup Foundation Board felt it was appropriate to distribute money to food banks and family resource centers. So Roundup distributed roughly $8,000 plus every month to 8 organizations within our service territory to help provide food and family services to members in need. I would like to thank the Roundup Foundation board members. We have Tony Hatsky, Julie Mant, Jeff Townsend, and we have an employee board member named Lindsay Williams. I would also like to thank 3 Holy Cross employees that have been very instrumental in helping us: Craig Tate, Sharon Williams, and Connie Overton. So thank you. And I would ask and invite each one of you that may not be participating in Roundup, please consider joining and helping Holy Cross support the members in need in our service territory. So with that, thank you all and see you next year.
Or later tonight, as the case may be, as Director Gardner has proven that he too can be in 2 places at once, even with the same shirt. Even with the same shirt. So our 6th and final strategic goal is to be an exceptional employer of choice in the region. Now, Holy Cross has a reputation for competitive pay and benefits, and an emphasis on empowerment, accountability, and responsibility that creates a positive employee culture. Right, guys? Positive? Yeah? Just kidding. A positive employee culture that brings out the best efforts from all of us. That culture includes a company-wide commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, alongside a never-ending commitment to safety in one of the most dangerous lines of work that there is. This video from our Human Resources and Administration Department will show you just some of the ways that we invest in and empower our people so that they can be better prepared to serve you.
I'm John Rowley. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources. In 2020, Holy Cross conducted another employee culture survey, which showed significant improvements compared to prior surveys in 2012 and 2017. We continue to focus on our workplace culture, which has resulted in a more collaborative and communicative workplace where employees are encouraged to share ideas and lead at all levels. I also want to recognize Chris Pittman and Christian Rosas, who you saw in the video earlier, for receiving the Ed GRANGE and Larry Schaefer Awards for Employee Excellence last year. Chris for his leadership amongst our line crews, and Christian for his work on our IT team, making sure employees were set up for success to help our members throughout the pandemic. Even during a pandemic, our goal was to remain an employer of choice in our area. One way to measure that is through employee retention. Our goal was to retain more than 95% of our staff, excluding retirements, which we exceeded with an impressive 2.4 annual turnover rate. Holy Cross's COVID-19 response plan was also a huge part of our efforts in 2020, and Amy Hausman, our Human Resources Administrator, will speak more to that in a minute. In addition, we're incredibly proud of our safety record, and you'll be hearing more from our Safety Coordinator, Brian DeCrow, on our safety program.
I'm Brian DeCrow, Safety Coordinator at HCE. We promote and maintain a safety culture committed to the safety and welfare of Holy Cross employees, our members, and the public through prevention, education, and awareness. Our safety program actively involves all departments in identifying, preventing, and correcting workplace safety issues. Holy Cross's safety program includes regulatory compliance, OSHA-required training sessions, regular review of our safety manual, and monthly safety committee meetings. In 2020, we held our annual Safety Appreciation Week virtually, and we look forward to getting back together in person this year. Even amongst a worldwide pandemic, Holy Cross had her best safety year in 2 decades, with only 1 OSHA recordable incident. Our linemen and crews thank you for keeping them safe when they are out in the field, such as giving them space when you're in your vehicle and practicing social distancing during these times. Thank you and stay safe.
I'm Amy Hausman, and I'm the Human Resources Administrator at Holy Cross. Developing a COVID-19 exposure prevention, preparedness, and response plan to keep our employees safe was a top priority for 2020, and I'm happy to report that we have had no cases of workplace transmission from COVID. That is a testament to our staff taking COVID seriously and recognizing that they cannot serve our members if they are not healthy. We also offered employees flexible work schedules, new paid time off options, and a new telecommuting policy, allowing staff to adapt to the changing needs of their home lives.
So as you've seen from the various videos, indeed 2020 was a busy year. We made significant accomplishments across all 6 goals of our strategic plan. And notwithstanding the COVID-19 pandemic, we exceeded all of our goals for safety, reliability, environmental performance, financial health, member engagement, and employee retention. It is a testament to the resilience and strength of our community this community, and our cooperative, that we can sit here today, together, and in person or online, and honestly say that our association, Holy Cross Energy, is stronger today than it was 1 year ago. Personally, it has been an honor and will continue to be an honor to lead this exceptional team, not only in 2020, but hopefully for many years beyond. And I look forward to continued excellence and our continued permission to serve you, our members, in the years to come. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our annual report to the members for the year 2020. And I would now like to call again on Mr. Randy Starr, HCE's Corporate Legal Counsel, to provide the well-awaited results of the election for 2021 of Board Directors.
I do have the results of the election. We had 2 elections, one in the Southern District and 2 board members being elected to the Northern District. So the top 2 vote getters in the Northern District were the ones that will be elected. In the Southern District, the top vote getter was Robert Gardner, who was reelected. In the Northern District, the top vote getter was reelected Kristen Bertulia. And joining the board as a new board member will be Keith Klesner. The results will be posted on the website, and we'll have the final signed off results by tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. I want to congratulate all of those who've been elected or re-elected, as the case may be, to our Board of Directors. And I want to thank all of those members, a record 10 candidates this year for 3 board seats. All of them who put themselves forward. Thank you for your volunteering and your willingness to serve. And we hope to find ways to keep you engaged and bring you into the governance of your electric cooperative. So now I'd like to invite the real Dave Munk, not the Memorex version, up to join us for any questions or answers that you might have here in person or even online. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Brian. Before we get started on Q&A, I just wanted to send a special thank you out to all the candidates, successful and otherwise, who participated and stepped up, and to everyone who voted, and to all the engagement that we're seeing tonight and throughout the year from our members. So let's continue the engagement and go into Q&A.
Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, questions. We've got microphones with Jenna and KRISTINA. Whatever you wanted to ask, now's your time. You got one down here. 2 down here.
Okay. Yeah, the issue of cybersecurity seems to be forefront, not only in the discussion here tonight, but throughout different industries in the United States now. What is the likelihood of a system-wide outage based on one very smart, irresponsible cyber attack? Do you have a distributed network that would, say, for example, only hit one side of your service area, or could something take out the whole system for a while that could, immobilize us?
You'll never say never about any sort of high-risk, low-frequency event like a total system-wide blackout. But I can tell you that over the last several years, Holy Cross has been investing in deploying a number of smart devices and other controls on our system that allow us to provide multiple pathways to get the power to your home. So that if any one of those devices is compromised, we can isolate that device, reroute the power effectively to make sure that we keep the most lights on for the most people for the most time. We also, as you heard on the video, relentlessly train and drill. And in fact, we're one of the few electric cooperatives that has a lab, a dedicated cybersecurity person, full-time, focused on the task of protecting your data as well as protecting your system. And in fact, as Lad pointed out in the video, we actually actively test our own employees several times a year to make sure that they don't fall prey to the various kinds of spear phishing and other attacks that are out there. And in addition, hardening our infrastructure, protecting it to make sure that folks can't physically penetrate the system as well. Now the grid is a connected network, so what happens in one place can affect others. But for example, what happened in Texas didn't affect us here in Western Colorado because of all the layers of protection that sat between that weather event, but for all practical purposes, same impact, a grid outage. We were able to keep that from coming here to Colorado through a variety of defenses and protective measures. Thank you. Thank you very much. Only 5 minutes, and we're going to try to take that as far down to 0 as we can.
Oh, so my question is, in the current structure of the renewable energy, what percentages of what types of renewable energy are we working with right now?
So for the most part, and it varies by season, but on an annual basis, of the 44% that we reported last year, something like the high 20s, did Steve leave on me? Sam around? Something like the high 20s comes from wind energy. About 10% comes from, 8% comes from biomass. Another 3% or so comes from hydroelectric. And solar is kind of growing fast. It's around 3% as well. And I think I might have gotten my math off a little bit. Someone was clearly writing it down going, it comes up to 39, not 44. But you get the idea. It's a mix. And the reason why is because different renewables are different things. Obviously, the sun only shines during the day. Hydro runs when there's water, right? Biomass year round, as long as we can feed it a supply of wood that actually is being harvested from dead or dying beetle kill in our own national forest to help mitigate the risk of wildfire. So we balance our portfolio with a number of complementary resources so that at all times and all locations, we can have enough power supply to help keep the lights on. Biggest percentage is wind right now. That'll probably be the case for a while, but as you heard in the videos, we have a number of solar projects of scale that are also developing. Thanks, Karen. Other questions? Come on, there's got to be more. Yes, sir. Jenna, can we?
With the advent of electric vehicles, how do you think that's going to affect your demand for electricity?
You want to take that one, Dave?
I stay away from numbers. It's going to certainly help. I tend to, as you'll notice, all the facts and figures come from Brian and staff, and I'm just more of kind of the interpreter on the board and in general tonight as well, to just kind of translate from, make sure it's all understandable when it goes back out to the members who don't happen to be engineering based. It's going to increase our load. To what extent that may not be as big of an impact as we're thinking, but that's about the extent of my numerical statements that I'm going to get out there. But another thing that's really important to point out about the advent of electric vehicles and that load is that we're actually encouraging a fleet of batteries. They move, but they park, they charge at certain times. They help our grid and balance our loads so that we don't have to buy power at the most expensive times. And we can also kind of level things out. So in addition to being a new source of electrical load, they also provide a very important grid function. So we are eagerly supporting the expansion of electric vehicles.
So here's the fun part. An electric school bus is equivalent to the load from a hotel. An electric vehicle is equivalent to the electric load from your refrigerator. So it's just like you're adding another appliance to your home. Now, obviously, that's going to impact the grid in interesting ways. If y'all come home from work and you plug in your electric vehicle exactly at the same time that you got the heater going on in the winter, that's going to add to our peak and force us to build the system even bigger. More money invested, higher rates to use. However, if you can find a way to manage that charging, manage that battery on wheels, as Dave so cleverly put it, so that it charges outside of that peak window, you actually help us use the existing infrastructure more efficiently. You fill in the valleys rather than heighten the peaks. And when you do that, you help keep your rates low and predictable and use our system more efficiently. You also allow us to keep the money that we would spend buying a battery service from somebody else. That money stays right here in this community. It stays right here in your pocket, whether you're on a Power Plus program or whether you're charging at home and charging at work through our EV program. So this is what we mean by a cooperative. You own it, you run it, and you actually can be part of it now with these new and emerging distributed energy resource technologies. And frankly, I'm an engineer, so I get excited about these things. But if saving you money doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Mr. Commissioner, oh, this is for you, Dave. Good, this is for you. Bring it on, Steve.
So Holy Cross has the battery storage program that homeowners can take advantage of, putting the Tesla batteries in their home. Could you describe that program a little bit for the members? Also, and I've asked you this before, about the state of the technology for industrial scale batteries, which I'm excited about them because I think if we get a few of them in the valley, it in effect replaces a power plant somewhere else. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you, sir. I'm looking for Chris Bilby. Is he there? Chris, get on up here, because I got a gentleman that wants to know about batteries. How have we constructed the Power Plus program, and what's your take on commercial and industrial batteries?
I like all batteries. I like anything that can store an electron and then allow me to call on that electron to provide the power back into the grid. Our Power Plus program is an on-bill financing program that's also mixed with what we call a distribution flexibility credit.
English, man.
You get a credit and a debt on your bill. And the difference between the credit and the debt is what you pay for resilience. That comes in around between $30 and $60 per month, depending on the installation and how much you want to back up. The way we've approached this, instead of building backup load panels in your house, we find it more economical to be able to provide more power to the house and be able to back up the whole house. So if the power goes out, you don't have to go and pick your loads that you want to. The battery will pick up all the loads for you and provide resilience. The way our program works is that we reach into the battery 10 times a month for what we call an orchestrated event. In the middle of the day, we will charge up that battery. And then just like today at 4 o'clock, we discharge the batteries back into the grid to help with the economics of our power supply costs. Like I said, we do that 10 times a month. The other times of the month, the battery is for you to do whatever you want. If you want to take your PV from your roof and live off it during the night, like a good grid citizen, you can do that. Or you can put the battery in a state that all it does is sits there and waits for an outage and provides you 100% backup. Utility scale batteries are coming. Our first one's going to come up at the CMC Spring Valley campus. That could be online as early as next year. That's a 5 megawatt battery. Just put it in perspective, that is our goal for our residential battery program, to hit the 5 megawatts. So we'll hit that with one battery up at CMC. We'll dispatch that battery at the same time that we dispatch the residential batteries, and it'll be what we call a fleet. Some people call this a virtual power plant, but I like fleet management a little bit better. Anything else?
I don't know. Anything else?
Is there
Chris
anything?
Bilby, everybody.
Well, hey, Chris, one part of the questions were industrial. Any news? We talked, you said about CMC. Anything else you can share this year? Otherwise, everybody will be in suspense for next year, because this team is not going to sit still. And there's some ideas in the works. I don't know at what stage they are or aren't. So some of them may not participate. Anything we can talk about?
We got 2 more batteries coming down Valley that'll be coupled with PV. Those projects will start in 2022 and come online, and again with the same fleet. We've been working with some other large users, you could probably guess who those are, about providing batteries maybe in the upper valley areas where people are looking for more resilience, maybe while they're sitting on a chairlift, but that's all I want to say.
Oh man! Dang it! You just made news, my friend. No.
We're also working on school buses though too.
Yeah.
School buses are docked 91% of the time, so they're sitting in the same parking spot 91% of the time. Most of the time when a school bus is used is when we don't actually want to use it, right? Early in the morning or 3 to 4 o'clock at night.
Peaks mostly start at the earliest at 4 o'clock. So I think school buses are going to be a great resource, not only for the school to provide clean transportation for our kids, but also for the grid to help us balance.
So if you want to see a man about a battery, you just figured out who to see. So Chris Bilby, everybody. We got a follow-up.
So Dave, you mentioned resilience in the upper Roaring Fork Valley. There is a famous power pole on Basalt Mountain that didn't burn and kept the power on in the upper Roaring Fork Valley. And people are still talking about that one power pole. So we are really concerned about resilience in the upper Roaring Fork Valley. And we're building now, just starting construction on the 5 megawatt solar farm. We need in effect 10 more equivalents of that, including battery storage and however we can do it. But I'm looking like from Basalt up that we need to really pick our game up to reach more resilience.
Absolutely, Steve. That's a great question. So the comment here really embraces many of the topics that are part of the questions that we've talked about. So as we see the smoke enter our skies tonight, Steve's referring back to the Lake Christine fire, which came within 12 inches of knocking out the upper valley across 4th of July, right? Aspen from Basalt up would have been knocked out for several days, through the weekend at the least, all right? Economic impacts, health impacts, safety impacts, being without electricity, period. So that has spurred, and so from where we sit at the board level, what we've looked at is we rely on Brian and his talented staff that you've heard from and that you see around, around tonight to develop resilience and to do that and balance that in a way that doesn't grow too fast or cost too much, but provides the right level of responsible advancement, if you will. And that part of this has been, a large part of this has been fueled by our shift to clean energy, which is not what you'd hear about in the news. But when you talk about resilience, it's partly physical resilience, it's partly cyber resilience. We are oriented towards this. It involves the storage that we were talking about a minute ago. It involves controls that you don't want to hear Chris talk about because they just make my eyes roll back in the head. But this is part of something that we talk about at every meeting. It's part, you saw it in, woven into those strategic priorities, because this is what ensures not only the safety, which is certainly knocked out in terms of a major outage, the reliability, but also the affordability and sustainability. So we're keeping track of those 4 pillars of our mission statement with everything that we do, and you see that embodied there. So it began in the year following the Lake Christine fire, and that resilience aspect is an element of not only supply decisions, but also investments in the grid upgrades that you heard about from David Blakely, and the other controls and things that are still in the pipe. Their costs are coming down, their capabilities are expanding, but we're relying and working closely with staff to balance the pacing of that so we don't put undue pressure on the rates, but still capitalize on things as they emerge. Anything you want to add, Brian?
That's great. Let's get the next question.
Excellent program tonight. Thank you very much. The goals and involving the employees is just awesome. Everybody would hear say, where else would you want to live? And these guys have got this nailed, right? This is awesome. And thanks for the meal. This question, 2 questions, could be for Chris, and the first one is a yes or no. If you have this Tesla system in your home, does this alleviate or stop? Does this take the place of having to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buying a generator?
Well, that's
if there was an outage.
There's a longer, more detailed answer than yes or no to that question. The challenge with batteries is that they only have a fixed lifetime. right? It's like a gas tank. Once that gas tank runs out, it's out. And in some cases, unless you've got solar panels on your rooftop and the sun is shining, it's going to be hard to refill that from the grid, which isn't there because that's why you're using the battery. So when you think about it either at your home or on the scale of our electric system, batteries are only short-term storage for, let's say, a few hours at the most based on your current consumption. Now we can work with you to figure out what are your most critical loads, whether you're a homeowner or whether you're a community, right? We want to keep the airport open, we want to keep the roads open, the hospital, etc. We can begin to prioritize those into a small version of the bigger grid called the microgrid. But at some point, unless you have enough supply in that box, you're going to run out. And so the challenge is, how do we get both short-term energy storage, but also have long-term supply capability in our communities so that we can ride out whatever disturbance, whether it's short or long.
Thank you. Okay, I got you.
We don't have that one licked yet, but it's something.
Okay, so the second question is, I'm wondering, and this would lead to, do you guys, and maybe Chris's department, or how y'all look at things and you sit down and you think and you run ideas at each other, and would we as the community members be advocates for? My question is, have y'all studied and felt like there would be a priority towards your decision to the composition of batteries? It seems to be a wild, wild west right now with you have lithium ion, NCM and nickel, cobalt, manganese, or vanadium and graphite. There's these different things that everybody's trying to figure out what's the best one, and each one kind of has its advantages. Has the Holy Cross, you guys, have y'all figured out what would be the best for the battery storage and what kind of batteries you would get? And what if we had a chance to push a particular best model? Do you have an idea what we as Holy Cross members would help you out with?
I think he's looking for a job.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking for a
Chris,
battery expert.
Watch out.
We continually survey the developments. The wonderful thing about working in clean energy is that the pace of development is happening so quickly. Different kinds of technologies, not only for batteries, but for solar panels and hydro turbines and you name it, grid controls. And so we're constantly reevaluating to make sure we get the right fit for purpose and we get the best bang for the buck. You know, even looking at our work trucks in our fleet with the Ford F-150 electric version coming out now, you know, the president says, man, this thing hauls. Well, we like to see it haul some electrical equipment and some line workers and engineers around when it's ready and cost effective to do so. So be assured that we're always evaluating things. And as far as the long-term storage goes, it's not just batteries. It's the possibility of taking extra wind and solar energy, electricity that's on the grid, and running it through a very simple process called electrolysis to crack water into hydrogen, store that hydrogen in a tank, and then run it back through a fuel cell some hours, days, weeks, or even months later in order to fill in our energy needs. It could be as simple as taking water at the bottom of Aspen Mountain, or something else probably, and pushing it up high when we have the energy to do so, and then letting it run back downhill when we need a little bit of pump storage hydro. So any ideas, great or small, if you bring value, you are a friend. So create the innovations and let's have a conversation. Oh, I knew I ignited Michael. My goodness.
So we've heard what is, I think, a genuinely remarkable story tonight. And one of the reasons that it's remarkable to me is that 10 or 15 years ago, none of us would have regarded it as possible. We would have all said, no way, that's a dream. And we've been being told by some very smart and very powerful people for decades that clean energy and climate solutions are simply uneconomical and they're a pipe dream. So how can you explain the dissonance between the story we have heard for years and continue to hear from many powerful people and what you've actually done on the ground. Explain that dissonance.
I'll jump in and take that. You know, Michael, I've been on the board for 11 years now, so I've been, I've kind of ridden that wave and been there at the, you know, when I came on and joined the Holy Cross board was the same year we opened our stake in the Comanche 3 coal plant. So we were hedging our bets then, right? But at the same time that we did that, the way that our board has approached its job over that decade has been to challenge and, you know, thinking back to what Adam Palmer represented and brought to the board, and that was really part of the culture that we did embrace, is to push for those, to chase those dreams, if you will, but at the same time balance that with our responsibility to you as our members. So, I mean, people will tell you, any engineer worth the salt will tell you, I could be 100% clean energy tomorrow, but it'd break the bank. And you'd be fuming, and you'd be calling, you wouldn't be so complimentary as you were tonight, so thank you for that. But that's really how we went about it, is that as a board, in representing the diversity of interests that you all bring as members, we've pushed the staff. We hired a CEO with that kind of priority and those kinds of skills to go out and see what we can do. And we are pleased to report that really Holy Cross, your electric cooperative, is one of the most progressive, one of the leaders, not only in the co-op world, but among all utilities. We're able to do things because of our size, because of our structure, because of you, our membership, that other utilities simply cannot do. They have to go wade through public utilities and regulators and states and the rest. We get to try it out here on the ground. Chris Bilby can't come up with an idea and say, hey, what about this, boss? And comes to us, we go, oh, okay. You know, so that's, I hope that answers your question.
That's a political answer. I'm also interested in an economic answer.
90% plus reduction in the cost of wind per kilowatt hour over the last decade. 95% reduction in the cost of solar per kilowatt hour over the last decade. We're in the middle of a similar decline in the cost per kilowatt hour of battery storage on a round trip occasion. Cost makes all things possible. We've in fact saved over $15 million on our power supply costs over the last 3 years since we announced our 70-70-30 plan, where you may recall our commitment was to meet a 70% goal by 2030 without an increase in power supply costs. And we saved $15 million. And we did it a lot faster. In fact, based on the projects you heard about tonight, we could be there as soon as 18 to 24 months. That was 70%. Don't quote that, Alan. The board came back to us and said, 70% is good. You've proven that you can do that. Now what about 100? And that's where the talented team here put their head on straight and said, you know, if things continue to decline and improve with all this innovation in the queue, we think we can get there by the end of this decade. And we're sure going to try, but we're not going to sacrifice the reliability, the safety, the affordability that you've relied on from us for more than 80 years. And that's our guarantee. The last thing I'll say is, your phone used to be connected with a cord to the wall. And now we're carrying what used to pass for supercomputers in our pockets. So with innovation, a lot of things are possible. The challenge is, how do you take that computing power and harness it into the cell phones that we carry today? How do we take the raw materials of the clean energy transition and harness it into the smart and maybe even self-driving grid of tomorrow? These are the things that we're working on as we look out 5 and 10 years beyond our current strategic plan. And already the board of directors and the staff are engaged in what that future might mean and the things that we need to do today to start to get ready for it. I think we've got one last one. Do we have any online questions? And would we know if we did?
Let me preface this by saying that I'm not an engineer. But I've been listening to a lot of talks, Vail Symposium, some other ones, and they talk about supply chain problems, especially with circuits. So you have an ambitious goal related to electric vehicles. I would imagine, not being an engineer, that there's probably some circuits that are needed in either in the automobile itself or in the charging stations or in some form of this whole umbilical cord of getting from A to B. So do you have any thoughts on the impact to your goal, along with your partners, including Governor Polis and CDOT, on expanding electric charging stations and the usage of promotion of electric vehicles in the state of Colorado?
At this point, we're not seeing any supply chain issues associated with the production of technologies associated with the electric vehicles. The challenges are, as one of the questioners hinted at earlier, the critical materials that we need for the batteries. The rest of the car is still the car. Some of the circuitry is the similar circuitry that you find in any other appliance. It's really the battery that we want to worry about, and it's the production capability and the environmental sustainability of that battery or that solar panel. These are the new challenges that we're going to face. We might get rid of carbon, but we might have some other things that we need to deal with. And as the consumer of those products, we can actually create the market for a sustainable version of these technologies by demanding that when we go out and seek new resources. Okay, all right, great questions. Obviously, we'll be around. Any of the folks in the yellow shirts, please engage us with those. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you joining me for that. I want to introduce Jenna Weatherhead, our Vice President of Member and Community Relations, for the reason you've been sticking around, the raffle. Thank you.
That's not true, is it?
Yeah, it's true.
I'm to contradict him. No, you are here for the fascinating discussions.
Actually, you're here for the 2 days.
So we are raffling off tonight an electric bike, a Giselle, that is from Glenwood e-bikes, and they were a terrific partner with us on this. It usually retails for $2,800. So let's see, who can I trust out in this audience? I don't know. All right, how about you? Would you pick a number for me?
Jenna,
yes.
I'm your Vanna.
Oh, look, here it is. Oh, and I said Giselle. It's actually a Giselle.
See, I figured that out.
All right. Don't you want to ride this? Okay.
Lindsay told me I couldn't.
Because it's not yours.
That's right.
It is 450426. Do we have a really? Come on up here.
Congratulations.
Tell me your name.
You don't have to ride it off the showroom lot.
Welcome. Oh, I hope you have so much fun on it. I'm so excited about this. So, if I haven't gotten to talk with you, some of you tonight, I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for being here. We're here to serve you, and you guys make this worth doing every year. And just to be back in person is wonderful. Really quickly, I want to say, I want you guys to talk at your tables, and whoever our oldest attendee at each table gets to take home the flower pot, if you want it. So, I do have lots more of those. So,
and before you go, as we wrap up, thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
And as we go, thank you for the Giannetti family for hosting us. Thank you to the staff of Holy Cross for all the work to be done. Thank you for Brian for covering for me and all the great MC, and thank you to all the staff. We're going to be around here. Grab us for one-on-ones. Enjoy. See you next year.